Hey, what's up everyone? Adam here with brahwegotthis, and today I'm going to show you the best way to level your tanks up in ESO. Leveling a tank up can sometimes be very daunting and downright just boring. And a lot of times it made me want to pull my hair out, cry, and just make my character into a DPS. Well, let's avoid all of this today so you aren't getting frustrated as well with the leveling process. Let's dive in and see what you can do to help the leveling process be a little smoother on those tanks of yours. And as always, if you ever have any questions about this or want to watch me play live, I stream on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/brahwegotthis, and you can join our Discord and guilds. The links to the Twitch and the Discord are in the description. Also, a big shout out to all the patrons that support the channel. If you'd like to become a patron, make sure to check out the link below in the description to check out all the perks. And lastly, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and heavy attack that bell icon if you enjoy this to stay up to date on the newest content. So after leveling 16 characters, or almost 16 characters, I've experienced a lot of different ways to level and tried new things here and there to find the best possible way. But something that I always got stuck on was how to make my tank leveling experience just flat out not suck. After this Nightblade is finished right here, I would have fully leveled 3 tanks, and I tried leveling a 4th a while back, so I've done it a couple times. And every time I've been trying to find the balance in what to do, quite frankly, when getting it to level 50. And then a person by the name of Grim Gladius in our Discord suggested something to me one day. He told me he ran a certain armor combination. And I was like, okay, let me try this out. And my goodness, my life changed that day when leveling my tank. And I was like, dang, why have I never been doing this when I've leveled my tanks up? And the answer that I got was either A, I'm just not smart and I don't know why I've not been doing this, or B, I just haven't experimented with it. And so I really have some awesome tips for you all here. And I want to thank Grim, if you were watching this, I want to thank you for suggesting this to me. Mad credit to you with this armor combination. I will get into what those sets are momentarily, but first I want to put a disclaimer out there. For those of you that are leveling your first character and it is a tank, I highly recommend taking your time with leveling, okay? You can definitely take some of these tips I'm going to give you and show you and implement them in your build or character. And I highly recommend implementing some of them because it will actually help you and you will have a more healthy leveling experience, I think, even if you are taking your time. But when I actually get to the point where I show you how to level or what method to use, you could opt out of that if you are a new player, if you want to take your time more with other content. So that's just a little disclaimer there. I just want to say that though, so you don't feel pressured to level really quick. A lot of what I'm about to show you all is for players that just have a hard time or lack the inspiration to level an alternate tank character. So let's go into these sets, okay? So something that Grim showed me was the Shackle Breaker set and Ancient Dragon Guard. And you'll see I'm actually running Vampire's Kiss, which I'll explain to you here in a second. But let's go into the Shackle Breaker set. This is a 6-trait craftable set. So you got to have 6 traits researched. We have it here, though, in our guild hall. Right here. So if you need that crafted, you can ask any of our crafters and you can put a ticket in the Discord and we can get it for you. Or if you are not on this platform or you're playing on another, whatever server, you can go to Vardenfell and the set table is right here and it's 6 traits required. Vardenfell again is in the base game. But what this set does is it gives you stamina recovery, magicka recovery, 58 weapon and spell damage, 1,168 max stamina, 1,168 max magicka. The reason I love this set, and I'm so glad Grim showed this to me, is because it gives you the recovery, some spell damage, and some max stamina and magicka, which is everything that you would need on a tank when you're leveling up. Just because you want to have some stamina to roll dodge, to block, to do some abilities. You want to have magicka to do some of your abilities as well, and you like to have some recovery, and this adds some weapon and spell damage. So spell damage for your staff and weapon damage for your sword and board. So this set is an overall just a great set to use because the bottom line is, y'all, is, if you run like Torog's Pact as a beginner tank when you're low level 50, yes, that will make you tankier, but in general, until you reach really like level 45 and you get into some DLC dungeons, a lot of the tanking in the early levels isn't too bad. It's more just learning how to taunt things, learning how to pull things into an area, and positioning adds to help your team damage the adds and the boss down. So the sets, really you could add some more DPS to your sets. You can add some more recovery, more max stamina, magicka. And so this was a great idea, and I've started using this, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And so I have the ice staff. I got the sword and board. So with the traits, I'm just doing training, because training will help you get the experience faster when you get kills. So you can do that. On the sword, I've got poison damage weapon enchant. On the shield, I've got a max health enchant. And you'll notice with our enchants, I'm not doing all max health just because we don't really need it below 50. You really don't. And we'll get into the attributes here in a little bit, because that, again, isn't really going to matter as much until you get into the CP levels. And then on the staff, we have frost damage enchant as well. And then the jewelry is shackle breaker, and this is magic recovery for the necklace, and then the 2 rings are stamina recovery. So I've got max stamina for the trait on both the rings, and I've got max magicka for the trait on the necklace. Now, Ancient Dragon Guard is the other set. I do not have this one on currently because I was trying out another thing too. But Ancient Dragon Guard is in Southern Elsewhere, and you've got to get access to the Dragon Guard Sanctum. And this is where it's at right here. It's 6 traits again, researchable. And we have people in the guild that can also craft this. So just ask around and you can get this crafted. So this adds 1,500 max health, 129 weapon spell damage, 833 weapon critical, 833 spell critical, adds 300 weapon and spell damage when your health is above 50%, and adds 3,460 physical and spell resistance when your health is 50% or less. So again, this is nice. It gives us a little bit of health, gives us weapon, spell damage, critical for weapon and spell, and this adds more weapon and spell damage if your health is above 50%, which it will be a good bit of the time, but if you do drop below 50 as a tank because you're taking in, damage and all that, it adds 3,460 physical and spell resistance. And so that is a really, really nice setup. And so with these 2 sets, it's really, really fun to level a tank, because the whole issue when leveling a tank is, you're putting all these things on your bar that don't really do damage sometimes. And I'm going to get to that here in a little bit. And a lot of times, you can wear sets that are supposed to be beginner sets for tanks, and that's fine. But a lot of times when you're leveling the tank, you don't really necessarily need, per se, tank sets, just because it's not as important until you get to above 45, I would say. In some of the level 2 dungeons, I would say you kind of need a little bit of help there. But it's really, really nice to actually put on other sets as a tank, because you're not fake tanking, because I'm going to get to the bar here in a second. You're going to have some of your tank skills, but it just allows you to be a little bit more, it makes you feel like you're actually contributing damage and stuff like that. And I think a lot of times when people level tanks, especially if they're questing, they really can just feel like they're not doing any damage, because a lot of times they're not, because they're doing a tank role. And that sometimes can feel really boring and really shut some people off. And so I started doing this, and I am having so much fun leveling my tank, just absolutely so much fun. And so I actually switched this set for Vampire's Kiss, because I was kind of just trying to see if I like it, and I have liked it, because I've been doing a decent amount of damage with this build just from leveling it. And so this is a set that you can get as well. This is in the base game. This is 5 traits researchable, and this is in right here, Malabator. Right here's the set table, and this adds 1,161 health recovery, 1,505 max health, 4% healing taken, and when you kill an enemy, you heal for 9,856 health over 6 seconds. So it's a nice little heal you get from killing things in the game, and so I've liked it, but I would recommend Dragon Guard. I've just been trying this out, but if you want to run this, you can. I have it on 7 body pieces. You can switch 2 pieces out for another 2-piece set if you'd like to, but this is max stamina on the chest, all training trait. On the shoulder, max magicka, max stamina on the helmet. On the girdle, max magicka. On the gloves, max stamina. On the greaves, max magicka. And on the shoes, max stamina. So I have 4 max stamina, 3 max magicka. That way I'm always having more max stamina than I do max magicka. And we'll get to that here in a sec with the attributes. So let's go ahead and actually go into the attributes now that we were talking about it a little bit. So I'm not fully leveled out here yet with this tank, but I know what I'm going to use when it comes to the attributes. And so what I would recommend is splitting them up with health, magicka, and stamina. And yes, I know you technically could put all your points into magicka or stamina and be a DPS or a fake tank, but that's kind of a touchy subject, and I want to promote actually learning how to tank and everything. So I would recommend somewhere between 30 to 35 points into health, and the rest can be split up into stamina and magicka, with stamina being a little more just so when you take synergies, you will restore your stamina for blocking and things of that nature. So say 35 health, 16 stamina, and 13 magicka for an example. That way, this gives you decent pools to where you can use abilities and still not die when taking on enemies and content when you're learning how to tank. And now let's go to the actual skill setup. So what I recommend with your skills is and this is in my leveling guides, these are always what I recommend when you level characters. I always recommend you at least have one skill from each of your trees, whichever character you are, on your bar, and then, one of your weapon skills, and if you have two weapons, same thing there, like destruction staff, one hand, and shield. And then if you have some other ones that you need leveled, like fighter's guild or something like that, you can put that on there as well. But always have at least one from each bar, just because at least it's being leveled up. So I always recommend that. But for tank, a lot of times, you're going to get, like, on tank right here, I've already gotten like 3 skills that I could technically use on my in-game build, but I'm not going to put these 2 skills on there just because I really don't need to when I'm leveling this, because it doesn't, like, it's our team is not really going to wipe that, we're not going to really wipe at low levels. So the main thing that you need to have is your Pierce Armor taunt, okay? This I want you to always have when you're leveling your tank. The reason is because this is one of the biggest things you've got to do as a tank. And I don't want people fake tanking, okay? I don't want people being like, well, I watched Adam's video and he told me like this, and so I've been like, essentially fake tanking. This is not fake tanking, all right? You're actually going to be tanking with this leveling process. You're going to be putting your taunt on your bar, okay? And if you want to put like low slash, if that's what you want in your build, you can totally do that. You can also put defensive posture if you want, okay? But what I'm trying to show you is the ability to have other skills in your bar that can allow you to do some damage and still learn how to tank, okay? But like defensive posture is not really something that you need on your bar when you're first leveling, okay? So you want to have Pierce Armor at least on your bar, okay? That is your taunt. You always need to have this up on the boss. If you want, and you get the Undaunted leveled up quick enough, you can get Inner Fire and put that ranged taunt on your bar too, so you have a ranged one. So the remainder of your bar is really, when you first start out, is just filling it with things that can help you level up your lines. But the one thing that you definitely want to have is you want to have at least one heal. So I've got Blood Altar, which also heals me and my team. I've got Blur, which is like for evasion. And then you can also, again, put a shield on your bar if you'd like. So like if I wanted to, I could put defensive posture on there, or I could, if I level up on Dante, I could put Bone Shield or something. I recommend having at least one shield, 1 or 2 heals that can heal your group and yourself, and then after that, and plus the taunt, and then after that, put at least 1 or 2 spammables on your bar that do DPS. So you could put, let's see, you could put Killer's Blade for like an Assassinate. You could put Funnel Health, which does damage over time and also heals you. On this bar, I've got Path of Darkness, which I'm going to morph eventually. I've got my Destruction Staff, Wall of Elements. And so at least when I'm doing this, and like Lotus Fan is kind of like a soft pull, you could say. It's not a pull, but it lets me teleport to enemies, getting a little bit of aggro to start a fight. So I really like that in like ad fights, because I can just like do that to certain ads, and then I kind of have their attention and everything. So this is what I recommend when you set up your bar as a tank. I don't think you should necessarily put like all shields, all heals, and like your taunts, like your in-game setup on there, just because you want to have some DPS to do damage, okay? And so I've got this Ice Staff AoE, which is really nice because this gives shields to your teammates, so you're still practicing that. And then I've got the single taunt, and then like a spammable. I've got like an Assassinate or like a Execution skill. I've got some heals, and I've got some evasion and stuff, okay? So that's what I would recommend with your skills. Now for ultimates, I recommend at least putting one ultimate that does damage, just so you can dish out a good bit of damage if you've got good ulti regen. And then the other ultimate could be like a more support one. Like if you're playing Warden, you can put the heal tree thing because you're going to need that for your in-game build. You could put Warhorn if you've got that as well. So I just recommend that as well for ultimates. Now, if you're a new character, again, I would recommend doing this even if you're just questing and you're leveling a tank. Just because if you don't have damage on your Boreal as a tank when you're questing, it's going to be really, really just boring. It's going to be tough because if no one else is with you, you're going to have a hard time doing damage. So make sure to slot some damage on there. Now, let's go into CP. If you are not a new character and you've got other characters in CP, make sure to allot your CP points, okay? This will help you a little bit. Put some, into your resistances and your shields and all that stuff. And then when you're in the blue tree, try to space out. Put some damage in, put some like Thaumaturge. You can put some in the Physical Weapons Expert, Master at Arms, Staff Expert, and then put some into Blessed for your healing done. And then on the green, you want some into Reduce Block, Reduce Roll Dodge. You want some Stam Recovery, Mag Recovery, and then a little bit of Health Recovery too. And then for this, you've got Bashing Expert, which reduces the cost of Bash, Sprinter, and then a Warlord for breaking free. These and all of this stuff, you can morph it, rechange it, everything. You can respec it when you hit 50, and that's the whole point of this, okay? When you hit 50, you can respec your character into more of your in-game setup, okay? Like you can go and respec your attributes. You can respec your champion points right here to redistribute. And then with your skills, you can remorph them. Okay? So if you're in the Automated Dominion, you can go to Grotwood and go here. And there's shrines in here that you can respec. If you're in Eminar Pact, you can go to Deshaun, go to Mournhold. And then if you are in Daggerfall Covenant, you can come to Stormhaven and you can go to Wayrest and do your respecs and everything there. Now, what should you do for leveling? So for leveling, you should do dungeons if you are leveling up a tank as an alternate character, okay? You can do public dungeons as well, but I recommend dungeons by far over anything. Yes, Skyreach, things like that, right? They are going to be faster, okay? They are. If you've got the gold, if you can do Skyreach, if you can do Dolmens and you can, deal with like that grind, they're probably going to be faster in a way, obviously, because Skyreach is one of the fastest ways to level. But not everyone can do Skyreach, okay? They don't have the gold. They don't have someone that can carry them through, okay? And so what I would recommend is just doing dungeons. And the reason is because you are a tank. You can queue as a tank. And again, this is not fake tanking, all right? You will be able to do your tanking duties, all right? And the reason you want to do the dungeons is because every dungeon will give you a XP when you do it as a random. You'll have a quest in each individual dungeon that you can do that will give you XP and give you a skill point. And as a tank, learning the dungeons mechanics are some of the most important things you can learn as a tank, and learning how to do certain things as a tank. If you want to watch my beginner tank guide, I've got one in the description or the top of the screen, my channel. It shows you everything you need to know about tanking. But some things I will note is when you are doing these dungeons, practice positioning, okay? That is one of the biggest things that I think people don't learn as a tank. So an example of positioning is like when you get into an ad fight, don't just stand there at the front of it. Run through them, pull them to you and get them grouped up for your team. When you're fighting a boss and there's an ad fight that spawns, pull or grab those ads and try to practice getting those ads as close to you and to the boss as you can. Because that right there is something that a lot of tanks don't know how to do when they get to the end game. They don't know how to group things up. They don't know how to position things. And that is a big part of tanking, okay? Taunting, yes, is a big thing. But positioning is really big, and keeping buffs and stuff like that is really big. You're not really going to have a lot of buffs that you're going to be keeping active as a low level. Besides, laying down your wall of elements will give your team a shield, which is really, really nice. And you could give your team a heal with the blood fountain, and there might be a few other things you could do as well with your skills, whatever your build you're going for is. But doing dungeons is gonna just cover so many bases for you. You're gonna level, You're going to get into queues fast. You're going to learn how to tank. You're going to learn how to position enemies. You're going to learn how to taunt. You're going to learn how to apply buffs. You're going to do some damage. You're going to gain skill points. And you're going to do it, and it's not going to be that bad. Because, again, you're going to be learning these mechanics, okay? Public dungeons, again, you can do as well, just because every public dungeon has a skill point in them if you do the group event in them. And they all have a quest. So you can get experience from that and just learn how to tank bosses there. So I recommend those two methods if you want to level this. Now, for newer players, you can totally do this if you'd like. But I still highly recommend you take your time, quest, learn your character, learn if you like it. If you want to do this method, you totally can, but I'm just saying that as a newer player, it does change a little bit because I feel that those players need to experience the game a little more because that's what really gets you into ESO. But that's going to wrap it up, y'all. That's really my tips and tricks when it comes to leveling up a tank. This is something that I've really just discovered recently, and I've really liked it. It's been working for me. I've been having a lot of fun leveling a tank, and it's been just absolutely enjoyable. And so I hope that this helped you. If you've got any questions, remember, you can always ask them in the comments below, and leave a comment below if you have any questions, because I'd like to answer it for you. You can always come by my Twitch chat, twitch.tv/brahwegotthis, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to ask questions there as well, you can join our Discord, the Brafia, and our guilds. The link to the Discord and the Twitch are in the description below. But I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to answer any questions in Twitch for you. And, again, this is something that I think a lot of people turn away from just because it gets really boring sometimes leveling a tank. But I think this brings a really cool, fresh look and a fresh new way to level your tanks in a way. It's not really new, obviously, but it's something that is just a fresh method. And, again, shout out to Grim for recommending these sets to me. It really got me thinking, and I've just had a real big blast doing this recently. And so thanks again, man, for that. Remember, y'all, you can also follow me on Twitter at brahwegotthis. You can check out our website at brahwegotthis.com for guides and builds. And just remember, y'all, to have faith, be great, and I'll see you on ESO.